Yesterday on stream, we went over the Dan Cooper case and a little bit of new evidence that was found in regard to the case nearly 50 years later. Now, if you don't know anything about Dan Cooper, I'll give you a little brief summary here. He was a man back in the 1970s that decided to hijack a plane and hold hostage a flight attendant and demanded $200,000. He said, "No funny business." Now, you might be wondering why the authorities didn't immediately blast him, and that's because he had a hostage. And his whole plan was that once he was up in the air, he was going to ejaculate himself out of the rear end of the airplane with a parachute. So, of course, he demanded parachutes. And he just pretty much, what a lot of people think happened is he got absolutely obliterated because there was a storm. He wasn't really wearing the correct gear. But, okay. Now let's get into the evidence portion of the whole case. There really isn't any. The only evidence they have is a tie that was left behind. Now they did have some cigarette butts, but somewhere along the way, the authorities decided, nope, we're going to lose that. We're going to lose the one crucial piece of DNA evidence that we have to actually link somebody to Dan Cooper, which we haven't been able to do yet because there is literally no evidence of this dude. Now, in this video, I did not actually know that crucial piece of evidence, the fact that the tie was left on the plane. So you'll notice that I'm confused a lot of the times. I'm like, where did they get this? Where did they get this little piece of the tie? I'm over here thinking that Dan smashed into the ground at 150 miles per hour, totally just spread all of his body parts in a million different directions, and they somehow found a little piece of it in the middle of the forest, but that's not what happened. I later on went back in the video and figured out that crucial piece of information that just went right over my head. I had my headphones on, but I just didn't even comprehend it. The whole time I'm thinking they found the tie in the middle of the forest. But anyways, yeah, guys, take a look.
A microscopic piece of metal could be the biggest break in years in the legendary D.B. Cooper skyjacking case.
Fox 13's Lauren Donovan is live in the studio for us. So, Lauren, the new clue comes 52 years after that daring heist, and from the clip-on tie he left behind in seat 18E of that Boeing 727, right?
Yeah, to be exact, here it is, right here behind me on screen, that new breadcrumb that was discovered. A trace of metal pulled from Cooper's necktie. Here, it looks massive, but in reality, it's itsy-bitsy. I'm told 3 to 4% of a single centimeter. You need a microscope to see it. Investigators believe this shred of evidence can lead them to some groundbreaking discoveries.
And when you look at the tie, when you look at that skinny black clip-on tie that he picked up at JCPenney, probably
Fuck. First off, how did they find that? Like, what the hell? Like, did they have ants go gather it for them? Like, what the hell?
around Christmas 1964 for $1.49.
Ooh. Oh boy, that's a bargain.
And you apply modern state-of-the-art technology to it, things they didn't have back in 1971 when this occurred. It tells a story. It's a microscopic piece. And you see that in the picture.
What the fuck story are they going to get from a microscopic piece of a tie? Like, are you going to trace the tie back to JCPenney and figure out that he was having an orgy in the bathroom? Like, what? Like, that nothing is going to come of this. That's
sure. The green is the titanium. There's a sliver of red at the top, which is the stainless steel there.
Investigator Eric Ulis tells me this tiny piece of
all that this tells me is that he was probably falling out of the sky. He took the wrong parachute, falling out of the sky at, 9.8 meters per second, and splatted. His tie splatted as well, and every piece of him went in an opposite direction, and his tie exploded. That's all I'm...
Rare earth pulled from D.B. Cooper's tie could help unravel the mystery.
This piece in particular, I've found... unique. This particle in particular is very unique because, again, there has to be some sort of explanation of what type of, heavy-duty, hardcore mechanical process took place to actually abrade that stainless steel into the titanium.
He's yet to pinpoint.
Yeah, it's called slapping the earth at 100 miles per hour. That is what caused the amalgamation of shit to happen to this thing. Like,
its origin, but believes it's evidence. The infamous hijacker worked in specialty metals. 18 months ago, Eric used U.S. patents to trace 3 other particles from that same very tie to Crucible Steel, a plant 2,500 miles away from the Pacific Northwest where Cooper is believed to have landed.
headquartered in the suburbs of Pittsburgh.
How the fuck did they find this? How do they know it came from DB Cooper? What? How did they find this little dick, like, in the middle of nowhere? Like, how did they do that?
Significant subcontractor for Boeing all throughout the 1960s. They supplied the lion's share of titanium and stainless steel for Boeing's aircraft. So it begins to make a lot of sense.
Eric says back in the 70s, employees at Boeing contractor Crucible Steel were known to travel to Seattle. Their metals and alloys used to build the 727. The very same model Cooper hijacked.
And we're looking for somebody that obviously had some sort of relationship to Boeing.
Eric's not crossed any suspects off the list.
Is this going right over my head? Or does all of this mean... Okay, I want to know how they found the little piece of 2% of a centimeter metal that's... Where did they find it? And how do they even know it's connected to DB Cooper at all? Did I just totally miss something? Did my brain just zap out of the realm? Like, what the fuck?
But says at this point, all roads lead to this man, titanium research engineer Vince Peterson from Pittsburgh.
I can put him in Seattle. I can put him at
Oh boy, I will
He's
say he does resemble a little bit.
Definitely somebody I'm going to continue to dig into.
So do you think this sliver of evidence is enough for the feds to reopen their case?
No. They've
Hell
made it
no.
very, very clear that they don't want to have anything to do with this case at this point.
That's like me bringing the police a pencil that was broken in half and a little hair or something was stuck to it, and it was supposedly from somebody who committed a crime 50 years ago. They're gonna look at me and be like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, it's just a pencil. Like,
All right, and it is worth noting that Peterson did pass away back in 2002, so no longer with us. Question for you, Hannah. How often do you think you should clean a tie? Maybe David can answer this one.
Well, I said the wrong thing earlier. I thought you put it in the washer, but I was wrong. You have to clean it.
oh no, wait, they suspected it's this guy, then just check his banking history, right? And then you can kind of tell, like, I don't know, maybe he just kept it all in cash, so I guess you can't even tell that. But you know, I'd look at his history, see if, like, hey, did he make any obnoxiously large deposits at any point?
In the dry cleaners, apparently.
Yes, you do not put the tie in a washer. You won't be wearing it again.
So not that often, right?
Yeah,
fair to
very
say.
rarely.
So because it's one of those items that rarely gets cleaned.
I was about to say, you never wash a tie. What?
That was actually a really good thing for this investigation. This black skinny tie, the clip-on was real dirty. It had more than 100,000 particles on it. Particle scientists pulled off that they began to test traces of all sorts of things that end up on your clothing. So maybe.
Wait, hold on. Did they find the whole tie? What?
You spill lunch, you bump up against a tree, give somebody a hug.
Right.
That passes on. Hannah, you put a coat over your blazer right there.
Who knows?
Yeah, all sorts of things. So they were able to find traces of rare metal in that tie, and that is why they believe this is all connected to that specific plant out there in Pittsburgh.
Okay, that sounds like a big old stretch. That sounds like a ginormous, humunculus stretch. What in the world? This comment sums it up perfectly. Imagine accusing a man who has been deceased for 2 decades. Oh my God! What the fuck? Imagine accusing a man who has been deceased for 2 decades. Now imagine being the press and releasing that man's name confidently. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Because odds are, the dude's probably not DB Cooper. I mean, there's a little tiny minuscule chance that it is, but I mean, exactly. They traced the particle back to the company that makes the metal for the plane he was on. Actually, the particle probably came from the 727 itself that DB Cooper was on. He didn't have to work at the factory. He was on board the plane, and probably the tie somehow picked up the particle from the plane itself. So the evidence is worthless. But look, what am I missing here? Hold on.
Tie he left behind in seat 18E of that Boeing 727, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I missed.
18E of
Oh, this is what I missed. Okay, so he left the tie behind. I didn't. Okay.
Boeing 727.
That was the information I was missing. I did not. I was thinking that they found it on the ground, like somewhere in the fucking woods or something.
Right?
Yeah, to be exact, here it is, right here behind me on screen, that new breadcrumb that was discovered.
Okay, well, yeah, still, that doesn't really have anything to do with anything. I mean, like, yeah, I guess you could tie it back to the metal factory or whatever, but that is, once again, a humongous stretch. Yeah, it's just going to be a mystery. So yeah, I don't really think it's a very groundbreaking discovery. I don't think they're going to be breaking out the old books and, you know, dust them off and slap them open. Like, we're going to catch DB Cooper. It's going to happen, guys. This one little crucial piece of evidence is going to lead us right to him. I just don't think that that's going to happen. It's just not really, it's not substantial enough. So yeah, as you could see, the whole time I was pretty confused. Right at the end there, I got myself together. I figured out my mistake. So yeah, guys, let me know what you thought of this in the comments down below, and that's all I got. See ya.